It's chaos.
It's a different type of Sunday scary.
It's your newest obsession.
It's Dirty Driving, a Formula One podcast.
We're the Hornsby sisters. I'm Katie.
And I'm Megan.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. We are here to talk all about the Monaco madness and what a dumpster fire it was Sunday morning that led to the race being delayed and then delayed and then delayed.
Yeah, it was honestly too much. I wasn't expecting this for Monaco. Never have I ever expected this for Monaco. I've never seen Monaco in the rain, so it was a wild and wet weekend.
I mean, we knew it was coming. We knew the rain was going to be there on Sunday, but when I woke up on Sunday morning and I pulled up my handy-dandy Apple weather app, it said there was no rain headed towards Monaco. So the fact that I then turn on the TV and they're like, rain in 5 minutes, and I'm like, but Apple, you've done me wrong. You told me there was no rain.
But Apple said there wasn't going to be any rain. The Weather Channel lied.
I mean, Apple weather did lie on Sunday morning and got my hopes up to then turn on the TV and see Martin Brundle, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But I was like, wait. Apple weather, you've done me wrong. I got so excited that it was going to be, there wasn't going to be any water. Kind of thankful that there was. I mean, honestly, without the weather, this would have been a pretty boring race that we know Charles would have won, which would have been nice to see, but you can't have excitement and a Charles Leclerc victory.
It's physically impossible to get both. It's like, I'll give you this, but I will lose this. And
especially at Monaco. I feel like that's the biggest place where it's a trade-off.
Yeah, he did finish the race, though. So that's a big win for him. It's a disappointing win, but it's a win.
Honestly, everyone's been saying, Charles Leclerc is such a he's the loser of this race. So it's like, but he finished for the first time in his home race.
Yeah.
Of any motorsport. Could we just realize that fact? I feel like that should be a victory in itself.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he finished the race, had no issues, had no crashing, had no nothing. I mean, he's walking away with a W. And he got to sleep in his own bed that night. So that's even better.
Exactly. That's a win-win. I'm also just okay, there is no Monaco curse anymore. He did technically break it because the curse was that he couldn't finish his home race, and not everybody on Twitter, but I was reading some tweets. They're like, "Oh, the Monaco curse for Charles Leclerc." I was like, "It can't be a curse that suddenly is different. He didn't crash out. He didn't not start the race. He finished the race. That's not what the curse says. You're just making shit up now."
Yeah, the curse, I'm saying it right now, the curse is broken. The curse of not being able to finish your home Grand Prix is broken, and now we can't wait to see what happens next year in Monaco.
I mean, I don't know if it's broken forever, but the crash out a couple weeks ago fixed this year's issue. We'll have to just see next year. I don't know. Next year, I think Ferrari should just make sure he crashes out 3 weeks before the real race again. We just need to continue this. Don't mess with what's working, Bonato. Not shit was working for you on Sunday, so don't mess up next year. Okay, we got to talk about the grid walk before we get into this.
Okay. Allowed.
Was this on level with Miami cringy?
I think Miami was still worse.
I agree. There's no way anything can beat that. Someone needs to start ranking Martin Brundle's grid walks in terms of cringiness. It will not be me. I cannot lose that much of my life to be watching his grid walks. But we need to discuss what everybody who watched the grid walk is discussing. How did Kate Sharma really turn down Martin Brundle? How could she?
Well, and this is something I want to talk about later, but I just feel like the level of pizzazz wasn't there this year.
No, she should have shown.
In terms of, go ahead.
She didn't show up with Anthony. She showed up with Jordan Melody. I'm go back to those horrible movies on Netflix. You don't have a right to say no to Martin Brundle.
Wait,
you make terrible.
Jacob.
Jacob
Eldori. I'm like, who the fuck is she talking about? Jordan. Jacob.
I don't know. It's very early on Monday. All I'm going to say is if you make trash romance novels on Netflix, hell, if you're even in trash, I love Bridgerton, but it is still trash TV. You know, it's not like educational brightness. Don't like, I mean, I'm literally listening to The Duke and I on Audible, so I'll like out myself there.
Oh my God.
But I'm sorry, if you make ridiculous rom-coms on Netflix, you don't get to turn down Martin Brundle.
No, you don't. And I'm upset about it. And you've heard it here first. It would have been a great interview probably too. And by great, I mean it would have been, what? What did you just say?
I also, I'm like, look, you're at Monaco's grid walk, you're hanging out with the cars. The least you could do is like, even if you don't know who Martin Brundle is, like the bare minimum you could do is just be like, hi, I'm so excited to be here. When Martin Brundle's like, what do you think, who's going to win today? You just say Ferrari. You just say Red.
Like just pick a team.
You could
just
have
look
said
at the
Haas.
car next to you. Yeah, just look at the car next to you and say that team name. Like, we're not asking for a lot. We're just asking for like an ounce of, I sort of know what's going on, and that's why I should be here. Not, I'm just here to la 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 li la.
I mean, I just want them to do it because it's more uncomfortable to experience this moment where like their like press person has to be like, they don't want to do an interview. Like that's uncomfortable. So just
next
20 seconds, you say the words and move on.
Next, they're going to ban like the press people from walking with them. Remember after Meg Thee Stallion, the next day security guards weren't allowed on the grid. Now it's going to be the press is not like, you know, the press people are not allowed on the grid.
I mean, I thought Patrick Dempsey did a great job. Granted, he loves motorsport, but he was just like, we love being here. It's so great. It's awesome to see Ferrari back fighting for the fight. I'm like, look, you literally have had two thoughts. I mean, he has a lot of thoughts about motorsport, but he at least like entertained the interview. Like, come on. You literally are in Bridgerton. You don't get to say no to Martin Brundle. Not that you probably know who he is.
Not that you probably know or care who he is, but he means something to us.
Yes. I'm also not defending how like cringy he is, but I did love when he walked away. He's like, okay, fine, whatever. And I was like,
he just rolls with it so well. And that's why he's so good at what he does. It's just like, yep, we're just going to keep moseying down and it's fine. And I wasn't just stood up and yeah.
I had to turn it off. I saw Dempsey. I saw him get turned down by Bridgerton and Jordan, a.k.a. Jacob. And then I was like, this is enough for me. I don't know who else turned him down, but I was just like, damn, could you just turn around and say hi? And move on with the day? This really bothered me.
Yeah, Megan was heated about it a couple minutes ago, and clearly she's still heated about it now, so it's fine.
Because I don't get it. Just turn around and say hello and, like, let him say words. Like, what do you mean you don't want to do an interview? You were okay with... Then don't go to the grid walk. That's part of it.
Stay on your balcony over watching the race and don't come down.
I feel like this is not that difficult. You don't get both.
You can't have your cake and eat it, too, in that Formula One.
No, it doesn't matter if you were in Bridgerton or that other show that he's in. What are
Euphoria, Kissing Booth.
He made 3 of those movies. I watched them all. They're all absolute trash. So I'm sorry if you think that you have star power not to say words to Martin Brundle because you were in the Kissing Booth. Like, don't.
Wait, I'm dying.
Like, go away.
I need to be resurrected because
what is wrong?
I'm just dying at you saying Jordan when it's Jacob and talking about the Kissing Booth movies on a Formula One podcast.
It just makes me really mad. Like, those are not good films. Like, why? What gives you the right to say no? Like, okay, whatever. Megan Thee Stallion. She makes funny music. I'm into it. I think it's funny. It makes me laugh. Didn't Serena Williams kind of like brush him off?
Yeah, in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's like a gajillionaire
I'm sorry,
and
that's
an
allowed.
icon. She wore a denim skirt on a tennis court. Like, she can turn Martin Brundle down. You've been in Bridgerton.
And
the other one's been in the kissing booth. Like, be kind to Martin. That's my hot take. That's it. I'm so heated about this.
She's got me coughing. I'm laughing so hard. Oh my God.
I hope that everybody is enjoying me being so mad about this.
Was the first thing that we spoke about this morning. I can't believe they're denying Martin Brundle an interview.
I mean, like, yes, he's cringy. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, I can barely watch the television when he's on. But if you're there in person, like, you're gonna turn him down. Like, this is part of the gig.
Yeah, part of the gig.
It's part of the experience, we should say. Shout out to McDreamy. He's not Patrick Dempsey's McDreamy.
Yeah.
Hell, he was in some good movies too. He was in Enchanted. And you know what? That's a much better film than anything Jordan Jacob has done. So he could have denied Martin and I wouldn't have been mad. But yet he gave the interview. This has gone on way too long. We must move on.
I know, we must move on. All right. We have to move on. Okay, so it was the 67th Monaco GP. We've been racing here since 1950. We've only missed 1 year since 1954, and that was in 2020 due to COVID. But the circuit is iconic. You could really see in this race that it's up to driver skill, not necessarily car power. I think that's an important note to make about Monaco, as it really comes down to the skill that the drivers have. The helmet cameras completely added to the unique view of the circuit itself. I don't think I've ever seen, I mean, I probably have seen Monaco on a helmet cam, but I don't know. The bumping, the moving, I was motion sickness, to be honestly. I was motion sickness. That's how I felt.
So there's two things about this weekend I found myself doing. Watching the helmet cameras more than I ever have, because I was like, oh, wow. I think it was the first time that I really really sunk into my head how twisty and turny and tricky that circuit is. Like, you lose a lot of visibility. But then the other thing I started watching a lot of this weekend was those just like really slow-mo videos of the tires so close to the wall. Like, I feel like every time I saw a video where it was like a driver right like millimeters. I watched this one of Checo, I think like 16 times, because I was like, it amazes me how precise they need to be.
Yeah, it's insane. And we haven't talked about this yet, and so I'm bringing it up because I'm 99.9% sure we did not see it this weekend because of the rain. But the drone footage, when they've got the drone camera going, I'm like, this is a waste. Let's move on.
No, I think that we didn't really talk about it last weekend at all. It was really awful in Spain. Like, those drone cameras added nothing, and I'm so excited that we had none this weekend, and I'm really hoping that we have none in Baku. Because Baku has those twisty, tight, turny sections I mean, it's a street circuit. It's very tight on the, like, around the old city center. Just give me helmet cams.
Yeah, I don't need to see the drone footage. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for even bringing it up, but we had to discuss it.
No, I'm very thankful that we didn't have it this weekend. But, like, I do think that the helmet cameras in, like, a circuit like Monaco, I don't know if I like the helmet cameras at every circuit, I'll be honest, but at Monaco, it really, really it clicked in my brain that, like, holy cow, it really is on the limit. And I liked him in Jeddah as well, but I think that's for the same reason. Like, again, there millimeters of precision are required for both of those tracks, and it was cool to watch that this weekend. Yeah.
All right. Senna has the most wins in Monaco with 6. He took 5 consecutive wins between 1989 and 1993. Hill and Schumacher both have 5 wins. Alain Prost has 4 wins. Hamilton has 3 wins. Alonso and Vettel are tied for 2 wins apiece. And then obviously, if you've been watching Formula One lately, you know that Ricciardo and Verstappen also both have a win in Monaco. This is the only race to not follow the current 305-kilometer race distance requirement. So it falls below that. And then it also has the slowest corner on the calendar. They take it at about 48 kilometers per hour, and that's the Hotel Hairpin, So very classic track, very, very, very exciting. Qualies, not so much race. So Megan, talk to us about Thursday or Friday, Saturday.
Okay, so Friday was dominated by Ferrari, specifically Charles Leclerc. He went fastest in FP1 and FP2. Couple of notes from Friday. Hamilton and Mercedes were feeling and really struggling with the porpoising at this at Monaco. We knew that the upgrades that they brought in Spain weren't going to translate as well to success here in Monaco, so not overly concerned about it, but we really saw the car moving all over the place on Friday, and we had a lot of radio messages from Hamilton talking about the bouncing. Another note that I feel like they focused on in FP1 while we were watching it was how important the Friday sessions have become this year because of the new cars. So this is the first time that the heavier, the bigger car was on Monaco. And so being able to put in laps in FP1 and FP2 was insanely critical, not just for the drivers, but most importantly in terms of the data that the team is able to collect, because it feels like, every race, or not, I'm going to say every race weekend, that the simulations are not matching up to exactly what's translating on track. Specifically, the biggest one we can talk about is the level of bouncing some teams are facing that maybe the simulations weren't able to judge. FP2 notable moments is, again, Charles Leclerc went fastest. Checo was third fastest in FP2. He was second fastest in FP1. But I did want to note how absolutely close P1 and P3 were in both of these sessions. So in FP1, they were only separated by less than 2/10 of a second. And then in FP2, they were separated by a little under 4/10 of a second from from Perez to Leclerc. So it was very close between the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, specifically Checo. You could see that he had the car underneath him. He had the confidence in the car, and he was able to find the pace in it. In FP2, we had the Vettel save of Friday. And if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend you go back and look at Sebastian Vettel's save from FP2, because that was impressive. He almost put it into the wall, but he was able to keep it on track and out of the barriers. FP2 was stopped by a red flag due to Daniel Ricciardo, who went into the barrier at the swimming pool section in the piscine section of the track. This is actually the same spot that Mick Schumacher would put his car in the barriers in the actual race on Sunday. But something to note here about the Ricciardo crash is there was a massive kind of firestorm, shitstorm, Sharknado moment, because people only saw one section of the radio message between Daniel Ricciardo and his engineer. The engineer had not actually seen the crash and had asked if the car was okay, and Daniel Ricciardo responded with, "I'm okay." And then if you read the whole radio message, it's clear that they were not aware that the crash had happened when the first message had come through. So people chill out. Read the full radio transmissions and don't take the snippet that you hear during the session as the hot take for that one. But overall, Daniel Ricciardo was okay. He walked away from it. He even said on, the radio messages, he said, "I'm okay." When he was in the car, he got out of the car and walked back. He actually kind of jogged back, if I saw it correctly. He was doing a little Australian jig down the pit lane. Overall on Friday, Ferrari was definitely looking like the favorite for pole. Red Bull had the pace, though. They were right there, specifically Checo putting on some good times. Mercedes was focused on that bouncing all around and trying to keep up, trying to find pace. But there was also lots of use of the chicane runoff area and the runoff on Sandoval. There was a lot of lockups. I think Stroll locked up 3 or 4 times. I think he put in the barrier twice. That might have been through all the sessions, though. Not maybe I'm adding all 3 practice sessions together. Saturday morning, Checo went fastest. Then we had Charles, Sainz, and then Verstappen. Verstappen was 4/10 back from his teammate. So it was very obvious that Checo was finding the pace, was getting confident, which was great for him. I feel like he had something to prove this weekend after last weekend. I know he made it very clear that he had talked to the team. He had understood why he was told to let Max through, but it kind of felt like he had something to prove on Friday and Saturday morning. Then we get to qualifying, which is very, very, very important in Monaco. I mean, having track position is always important for every race, and having a good qualifier is very important, but it's only added to the its importance is only heightened at Monaco because the race often becomes processional. They all just fall in line one after another. There's very few overtakes. It's very hard to overtake on this track. We saw that on Sunday. And so without the rain, it would have probably been a Charles Leclerc victory. But no. So qualifying is very, very important. And Charles Leclerc was able to put it on pole in his home race again. Thank God he didn't have another I am stupid moment and crash, though. In second, we had Carlos Sainz. So it was a Ferrari front row lockout. And then we had Checo and Max Verstappen, and then we had George Russell. So how did we get there? Let's run it back to Q1. Q1, we had a red flag. Sonoda hit the barriers with 2-ish minutes to go. So here we have the red flag. Then we have the pit lane just turned into an absolute parking garage, like worse than leaving a baseball game in St. Louis, Missouri. So with 2-ish minutes to go, cars start going out on track. Some cars were able to cross the line before the clock hit 0. So if you are in the qualifying session, if you cross the start-finish line before the clock hit 0, you're allowed to complete that last lap. If you cross the start-finish line after it hit 0, you do not get another, you have not started your laps before time elapsed, and so you are not allowed to put up one more lap. Unfortunately, due to that parking garage situation, Hamilton, Bottas, Zhao, and Gasly were not able to put in another lap. And out in Q1 was Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, Nicholas Latifi, and Zhao. So unfortunately, Zhao and Gasly got screwed just by not being able to get out of the pit lane. The Williams were actually very smart and were able to get out first, but just didn't have the pace. In Q2, Valtteri Bottas could just not make it happen. So unfortunately, he missed out on Q3. Daniel Ricciardo would miss out on Q3 as well. He just couldn't find the pace. It was really painful to watch, actually, especially because we had Lando Norris being able to find the pace when he wasn't feeling 100%. And then Q3, we had the Alpines both make it to Q3, which was awesome to see, but they were actually the last ones to go out on track. And then the thing we have to talk about is what happened at the very end, the bitter end. We had a double crash. We had a red flagging of the session when Sergio Perez locked up. The rears went into the barrier, and then moments later, Carlos Sainz crashed and made subtle contact with Perez as well. But you could see that he was, I'm not sure. I would need to really analyze it, and I don't know if we'll ever really know, because I don't know if Carlos Sainz saw it, tried to brake, what exactly happened in that moment, but he ended up having contact with Sergio Perez, which would end the session, but prevent anyone from putting up a faster time, would hold up Verstappen, who did throw an on-par fit with last year in terms of his inability to complete that last flying lap. We would come to find out that the gearbox for Checo was fine, but Carlos Sainz would actually get a new one.
All right. What a rundown. lights out and away we didn't go for a very interesting Monaco Grand Prix. The race ultimately was red flagged before it even started. After waiting a little over an hour, I believe it was an hour and 9 minutes, we were able to get back on track. The red flag was believed to have been due to the heavy rain, but we came to find out that there was a power failure at the circuit that prevented the starting lights to be used, whether they were going to be able to start in the wet or in the dry. They could not resolve the issue, so we had a rolling start behind the safety car to get the race restarted. Latifi was in the wall, light touch to the wall.
Before it even started.
Before the safety car even got called in. And the excuse was, like, I couldn't turn my steering wheel at all. And I'm like, whatever, Latifi. I'm so over him.
I don't even know if that's true.
I am so over him. Anyway, Leclerc led the rest of the grid down the main straight, and away we officially went. Immediately, we saw Gasly make the switch to inners, with Stroll and Latifi almost having yet another accident in the pit lane. I think this is now the third, correct me if I'm wrong, Aston Martin unsafe release that we've not seen any penalties or fines or anything assessed. So I'm waiting for that to come. It's going to happen before the end of the season.
I think it is the third.
I think it's the third. I know Ocon also had an unsafe release at some point as well. So
yeah.
By lap 4, Leclerc was 2 full seconds ahead of Carlos, taking a steady lead. We saw some great battles. I mean, like, very interesting for Monaco. One was between Pierre and Guan Yu Zhao. Pierre was able to shoot down the inside and get around him, and Pierre actually ended up gaining 6 positions after he started in 17th and finished the race 11th, just outside the point. So pretty decent drive from him. Then we had Hamilton and Ocon battling, and it felt like it lasted forever. Ocon did a really nice job keeping his elbows wide. Hamilton remarked that maybe it wasn't all in good taste, keeping the elbows wide. But Ocon ultimately finished 10th behind Hamilton in 8th, so Hamilton got a little ahead of him in the final results.
Well, yeah, and Ocon and Hamilton had crashed. They touched. Well, they didn't crash.
Right.
They touched.
They
touched. And then he had the 5-second penalty.
Yes, he did have that 5-second penalty. Thank you, Megan, for throwing that in there. They had a little bump in. Hamilton thought he had damage, but I think his front wing was actually okay, if I'm remembering correctly. You're shaking your head. What's up?
No, it was damaged.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Poor recall from me. Still recovering from my Las Vegas weekend. Lap 21, we saw 2 double-stacked pit stops for Ferrari and Red Bull, shaking up the front runners to Perez, Verstappen, and Sainz. We had a few DNFs this race, one with Kevin Magnussen that was followed shortly by Mick Schumacher, who spun and landed himself in the barriers, splitting the car in 2 and causing a red flag that stopped the race. Alex Albon also retired later on. He had a pretty nasty puncture. On the restart behind the safety car, we had Perez leading Sainz, Verstappen, and Leclerc, and we switched from counting laps to the time limit for the rest of the race. We completed just 64 of the intended 77 laps. Perez led the rest of the race, taking the podium and becoming the most successful Mexican driver with his 3rd win. Carlos Sainz finished 2nd, taking his 10th career podium finish without recording a victory. I believe he's at like 148 Grand Prix without a victory. And the championship leader, Max Verstappen, was in 3rd. This is the first race this year that he has not won. And then Charles Leclerc, as we spoke about it earlier, finished in 4th, finally beating the curse, fingers crossed, and finishing his home Grand Prix. I won 2 of my bets. One was both Mercedes in the points, and the other was for Carlos Sainz on podium. So made some money back this weekend, which was great. And I think, Megan, would you like to share the Fantasy League update, as I have slipped?
Yes, yes, yes. Well. Things are getting spicier by the week. On track, but also in the Dirty Driving Fantasy League. I have taken the lead from Katie. Not the lead of the league, but the lead in, our head-to-head battle. I am now in fourth place with 6,355 points. Katie is 1 point behind me. In fifth place with 6,354 points. Again, we have to give a massive congrats to Smooth Operator, who's still in first, and Gavel 11th, who is doing great in second. This week, Formula Interested Americans scored the most points with 954, but it's fine. I was a second. I was the Carlos Sainz of this race. I took P2. With 945 points. I actually found this thing in our Grid Rivals app that shows the podium for this week.
Oh, I love that. You'll have to show me where to find that.
It was really cool. I really, really, really liked that. And I'm here for it. It made me feel really great that I finished in the same position as Carlos Sainz this weekend. My best move this week was actually choosing Fernando Alonso as my talent driver. Last week, I was singing the praises of Valtteri Bottas, but unfortunately, his salary increased so much on the app that I could no longer select him to be my talent driver. So I had to go with Alonso. I had to pick Alonso or Vettel, and it was a no-brainer in my head to go Fernando Alonso because he's been pretty successful this year, other than when he hasn't been.
Love that. I had Pierre Gasly as my talent driver. He scored me 246 points this weekend, which was a nice little bump, or the bump I needed to just keep right behind Megan. And then obviously I've got Charles and Max on my team still. I think I lose them next week, so we'll have to see how it shakes up after Baku.
I know. I think I'm losing Valtteri, which I'm upset about. But now that I can no longer have him as a talent driver, I'm like, ugh.
Him as a talent driver is awesome, but Alonso did well. So,
I have to. I clearly have. I think that we're now into the formation lap of Brazil 2021.
She's mounting her stern comeback.
It's been aggressive. It's been very aggressive. It has been aggressive. There's been a lot of work I've been doing on this fantasy league and comparing things. So what else is really cool about this league? I know that not everyone's in it, but I did find that you can also, in the section that'll give you the podium information. So it was you have to go to Monaco Grand Prix recap. So it'll show you the podium. It'll show you who earned the most points, who earned who had the biggest improvement, who has the most efficiency, the largest increase in team value, and who moved up the most positions. They call it overtake. So on top of being second in the points, I have the highest increase in team efficiency with points to contract value. And then I also had the largest increase in team value. So my team value went up 3.9 million. So it's really, I can't believe I hadn't found this before. So I don't know. I liked it. It was cool. Cool little graphic. There's even a stupid little podium thing.
Oh, they'll have to show me where to find that.
If you click on league up at the top, it'll say Monaco Grand Prix, round 7 race recap. So if anyone's in the league and wants to see that, that's where you go. I see it. It's really cool.
Oh, cute.
It brought me joy. Maybe we should.
I love it.
Maybe we should put it on the story.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So cute.
We gotta love when the graphics are cute.
Yeah, we love cute graphics.
Katie, your team value went down.
Our
teams are valued at the same. Did you know our teams are valued at the same?
I did not.
111.4 million. Impressive. Okay.
Look at Megan up there, second place.
I know. I'm literally the Carlos Sainz of this race.
All right, let's get into our race questions. We kind of touched on this earlier, but we've got to touch on it again. Did it really feel like Monaco? Because to me, it was missing the pizzazz. It didn't feel like it was sparkly as much as it normally sparkles.
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering. I didn't watch a lot of the like pre-session stuff. I just kind of like showed up and watched the session. So I don't know if I missed out on a little bit of the pizzazz. I'll be honest, the highlight of like the social media of this weekend was the Red Bull clip where they had to like fish the duckies out of their pool, and then Max got like one that said call Christian Horner and make duck noises. That was the highlight of like my social media. That or seeing Susie Wolf and Toto Wolf on the boat. I was like, mom and dad look great. Mom and dad of the paddock look impeccable. I don't really know. Sunday didn't feel like Monaco because at one point I was like, this feels a little too much like Spa. Mm-hmm. You know, here I have woken up and we're delayed. At one point it was the last, like they were all waiting to leave the pit lane, and they're like, I think it was Mercedes. No. It was McLaren to Ricciardo, and they're like, more rain in 5 to 7 minutes. And I was like, no.
Here we go.
No. I this has to happen. I've woken up way too early. Like I will watch the cars go vroom vroom today. I did love the last like 12 minutes when it was Checo, Sainz, Max, Leclerc. I thought the tension of the last like 12 minutes, all the questions. I mean, in my head, I was like, oh my God, if there's grading on the tires, if someone blows a tire, are all four of them gonna like crumble it? Like, because if a tire blew, like really in multiple places on that track, they could have all four gone into each other. We could have red flagged it, and then would it have been a George Russell win? Like, what?
Could have been. It really could have been. They were so close at one point, I thought they were like gonna just drive over each other like they do in cars. Or not cars, Herbie Fully Loaded.
Well, I mean, Carlos Sainz almost put his Ferrari into the back of Sergio Perez. I think that was at the hairpin. It was like turning into the hairpin. Checo braked, and I think Sainz just kind of like, I don't know if it was a late reaction. I don't know if he couldn't get on the brake quick enough. I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh my God, because in that moment, if Sainz had gone into the back of Checo, Max could have gone into the back of Sainz, and Charles was close enough that if, you know, he blinked, he would have been into the back of Max.
4-car pileup. Thank God it didn't happen. It would have been so ugly.
So ugly. I don't know. It felt like Monaco in everything that happened, like from Fernando Alonso, that like parade of drivers just like plotting. I bet for Lewis Hamilton, he was like, well, another Monaco where all I do is sit and watch the back of someone's car. This is fun. Can it be over now?
Yeah. Like, can we call it? I'm sure he was so happy that it ended early.
I would have loved like 4 more minutes. Like if we could have just had 4 more minutes, I think there would have been a tire that would have blown because the grading would have been there, or we would have seen Sainz get Checo or Max get Sainz. I don't know. I think if we just had a couple more minutes, so we would have seen maybe the action, but I don't know. Monaco's not my favorite. We all know that. Okay, Katie, let's well, we're kind of on the topic of just like general things. Should Charles Leclerc see Monaco, or like should, like looking back, I don't know, maybe say next week, this weekend coming up, I don't know, whenever he starts reflecting on Monaco 2022, do you think that he should see it as a win or as a loss? I mean, we know that Ferrari messed up on the strategy call, but he fucking drove his car across the finish line. So does it really matter in the big scheme of things that it was only P4?
To me, this is a win. For sure. No doubt about it. I would say, like, at any other race going from pole to P4, I would be disappointed in myself as a driver, because clearly something went wrong. This weekend, we know there was some strategy issues. However, I think this is a win. He finished, the curse is over. He didn't crash. He crossed the finish line. I think he's disappointed in the moment, because with finishing, there is that opportunity that he could have won. And I think without the rain, he would have won. So it's a win for me. It's a win all around. I don't know if he'll think that it's a win for at least a little bit of time. I'll be interested to see next year, Monaco, if he takes his third pole in a row.
What's weird about this is I view Ferrari in terms of like
Carlos Sainz, it was a win for him. He was able to defend and keep Max behind when Max was on a set of new mediums and Carlos Sainz was on hard. So like I think it's a win for Carlos. I think he got his confidence back. I think it's a personal win for Charles, the fact that he was able to finish. I just would like to reiterate that. But for Ferrari, it was a loss because it was their lack of a good strategy call.
Yes, which kind of brings me into one of my questions that I had for you. And we can kind of discuss Ferrari and Charles and Carlos more with this, but are they out of the running or are we just a little shaken up? There seems to be something going on.
So I am going to say no, and here's why. So what happened in Spain with Leclerc's power unit, they have released saying it was nothing like
Technical. Like it wasn't with the development of the car. It was kind of like a one-off incident. I don't view Monaco as like significant in terms of like, what does this say about the path that Ferrari's taking? I think if anything, they should view Monaco as like we need to take a step back and really look at our strategy, because this is not about, and maybe this is where Ferrari, I think, needs to have a little bit more of the like Mercedes Red Bull mentality. It's not about focusing so much on what you're doing. It's focusing on what everybody else is doing. And I didn't feel like they were covering as much of what was happening in Red Bull. I mean, the overcut worked for Red Bull. They went one lap longer and were able to put in faster times and come out of the pit ahead.
So I don't really know if I feel kind of like Monaco is one of those like
moments. It's like,
it's kind of its own little island separate from like the bigger development story this year. So I think
we need to see what happens in Baku to be able to look back and say like, does Ferrari need to be concerned? Because if Ferrari puts up like a 1-2 in Baku, I'm going to be like, no. I don't think they've shaken up and they're not out of the running.
Yeah.
But Monaco, I don't know. I feel like it's really hard to say like, oh, after Monaco, this means Red Bull's got the momentum. I mean, maybe in terms of like the Ferrari should have been better this weekend, but this weekend wasn't really lost in the car. It was lost on the strategy call. What do you think? Or do you think do you think they're shaken up?
Part of me says yes, and part of me says no. The part of me that's like yes is that they're a little shaken up. Is I just feel like the strategy call this weekend was the like, oh, we're shaken up and we made a bad call. Now the other part of me is like, you're completely right, Megan, when you say it's just Monaco and we can't really get a fair assessment because of Monaco. The car still has pace. They're still taking poles. They're still getting podiums. I think they're still in the fight at the end of the day. I think it would be different if we saw them in P6, 7, 8. Then I would be concerned and panicked for them, but they're still taking poles. They're still taking podiums.
I am still convinced that this season's going to come down to reliability. So as long as they can keep getting their car to finish races, right now, I think getting podiums, being up in the top 5, finishing races is the goal right now. Developing the car is the goal right now. I said last week, we know that Red Bull's going to rumored to be bringing a big upgrade package in Silverstone. I think Ferrari, we know that Ferrari on a little bit of a different development plan. I'm interested to see when the next like drop of upgrades are going to be. I have a feeling we're going to see some new stuff in Baku. I'm not surprised we didn't see anything in Monaco because you don't learn anything from the track in terms of developing the car for other tracks. Okay. Let's go to McLaren. We've been talking a lot about Ferrari but I want to kind of look at McLaren. So leading up to this weekend, Zach Brown, who wasn't there, he was at the Indy 500, overseeing McLaren's Indy cars. I'm very sad that Pato Award didn't win, but meh. Next year, Pato. Next year, I don't know. I have such a crush on that kid. But no, Zach Brown hinted that there were some mechanisms through which the Formula One team and Daniel Ricciardo could part from the company. Like, do these mean anything, or did Zach Brown just say words he shouldn't have said, or do these comments literally mean nothing and the internet just blew them up like it always does? What are your thoughts on these comments?
I knew this was coming, and I've been pondering it because I knew it was coming.
Did you honestly think we couldn't talk about this? We are Danny Rick stans.
We are Danny Rick stans. I think it's interesting the timing of the statement. I mean, it's like, again, before Monaco, where we're not getting much from Monaco. However, I'm intrigued about Daniel's future. I know we've talked about it, potentially making a move over to Formula E. I think, part of me has got Zach Brown saying this to maybe light some fire under Daniel's butt and say, like, yo, we need to start seeing some things. Lando is proving time after time that he can get things out of this car, and you're not matching the standard of that. I don't think he was in the wrong to say this, but I think it could have been said better. Maybe. Mechanisms to remove him from the team seems like has been well thought out.
I just really don't know what it actually means, because his quote is basically like, we agree on, there's some mechanisms and there's things that we agree on and there's things that we differ on. So I just am like, is the timing of this because we just announced the Formula E team. Now Zach Brown's at the Indy 500. He says the statement, or I think he said the statement before he left for Indy. I mean, we know that Ricciardo. Okay, so here are the facts that we know. Ricciardo signed a high profile and a highly paid contract with McLaren, and he will be there till the end of 2023 without said mechanisms. We have no idea what those mechanisms are. We know no details. We do know that he's consistently struggled. I think his struggle looks worse because there's such a disparity between him and Lando. We do know about Monza was his high point, but we do know that overall his time with McLaren, they are not where they want to be in a joint, and they jointly agree on that. Daniel Ricciardo's like, I think that's a fair statement for Zach Brown to make. But in the same kind of interview, he also says, like, I think we showed at Monza that, Danny Rick can win races. Like, we need to continue to develop the car. We want to see him further up the grill. We know he's capable of being further up the grill, and we want to continue to push as like a unit. So at the same time, he's saying like there's mechanisms to remove him. On the other hand, he's saying, but we need to develop. We want to continue to work together. So I don't really know. Hell, maybe in 4 years we'll see Danny Rick running at the Indy 500.
Hey, I will never say never for Danny Ricciardo's future, because I think the McLaren family wants him to stay in the family, just maybe potentially not in Formula One, where he maybe has gotten tired and we haven't seen the confidence from him that we've seen in the past before. And no matter how many times he says, he's got his beautiful tanned, thick skin, to constantly be compared to Lando with the disparity that you mentioned will take a toll on anyone.
I mean, I'm literally not going to say nothing. I'm not going to say anything's out of the realm of possibility. Shit, Kimi Raikkonen, we never thought he was going to make a comeback, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to race at Watkins Glen for NASCAR. I'm like, what the hell? I thought you were like done. I thought I thought Kimi was going to like go into the like ether and like run his go-karting team and hang out with his beautiful kids and his smoking hot wife and like hang in the Maldives for the rest of his life. And he'd never say words to the press again.
But here he is coming back. He's going to have to change his bio from just retired to something else.
I think he said it was like he already changed it.
Did he? Let me look really quick.
I literally think he's already changed it. I seriously think the man has already chaotically changed his Instagram bio. Racing again.
Racing again.
Racing
Oh my
again.
God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Racing again. What the hell? This man.
Okay, well, while we're doing this, so we have Kimi Raikkonen who says racing again, and we have Nikita Mazepin finally flipping his to ex-Formula One driver still addicted to the drive.
Ew, I hate that. This
is like this.
Ew.
Like,
wow, racing again. I'm shook.
So here we've had some monumental Instagram bio changes this week. I'm sorry we didn't give this in the top of the rundown. I didn't realize that this was going to become such an important thing. Kimi Raikkonen's bio says racing again, and Nikita Mazepin says ex-Formula One driver. Which one is more satisfying? I don't know.
Kimmy's. Racing again. Retired, no period, to racing again, no period. Get ready, folks. We have not seen the end of Kimi.
Like, we are going. I have to go see this. I have to see the Iceman race in NASCAR. I have to. I literally have to. I refuse to not. I don't know. I refuse. That's a better way of putting it. I refuse to not attend this event.
All right. Well, we'll book our tickets to Watkins Glen and figure it out as we always do.
What's so funny is, like, just imagine me and you at a NASCAR event.
We will not fit in at NASCAR. We are the Formula One girls of motorsport, not the NASCAR girls.
I don't know. I'm in for it. I'm gonna have to get some NASCAR merch. I'm gonna have to get some Kimi merch. If anyone has some Kimi merch that they highly recommend, send it to me. I maybe I'll design a shirt. I'm designing a Kimi Raikkonen shirt. Okay, we got to get through this.
There it is.
I got to go design. Sorry, you guys.
Right.
We are on to something new.
We're on to something. All right. I'll hop into my winner then. I chose Carlos Sainz, finished second in Monaco 2 years in a row, extends his lead, or not his lead, but extends his championship fight. And this is the fourth podium of the year thus far. So I would say that's pretty impressive. I'm excited for him. I'm excited. I feel like he's warming up. The confidence is back. And so he is my winner of the weekend.
It's his fourth podium of the year, which is the same number of podiums he had all last season.
Yeah. So we're off to a hot start.
The chili pepper is smoking.
The chili pepper is spicy.
I will say that I'm not gonna lie, when he took his helmet off after the first red flag where they were back in the pits, and he took his helmet and his hair was all like a disaster, I was like, nice. I approve this message.
Quite nice.
I mean, I'd rather see the cars go vroom vroom, but I'll take a momentary pause for this. Speaking of that, in that same moment, my winner of the week, Sergio Perez, did you see him when he took his helmet off? His hair was all over the place, Katie.
It was wild. It was wild. I don't think I've ever seen worse helmet hair.
I was like, oh, Checo.
Checo,
Hello.
careful, buddy. Careful,
buddy. You're gonna. He looked like he did that thing where you, when you're at a science museum and you put your hand on the globe, and your hair gets all static electricity. That's what it looked like. Okay, like I said, Checo is my winner. Not for his hairdo. It still looks great, even with the hairdo. But he won. Like, he won the Monaco Grand Prix. He's the first Mexican to win Monaco. His winning margin was just 1.154 seconds over Sainz. And let me tell you, it was impressive to see him hold off Carlos Sainz. We knew that the tires were graining for Checo. I mean, we even had the Max Verstappen radio message where he's like, I think Checo fucked his tires. We know that Carlos Sainz had some graining, but he as well. But honestly, the fact that Checo was able to like elbows out, he was really able to make that F1 car as wide as he could on those tight and twisty Monaco track. And it was fun. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch. But this is his second victory this year and his third win in total. And he said, I have to read this quote because it just made me so happy. He said, it's a dream come true. As a driver, you dream of winning here. After your home race, there's no more special weekend.
I love that.
Aww.
I'm so happy for him. Like, I really wanted Charles to win. I even threw some money on Charles winning and obviously lost it. But I'm so happy for Sergio. Like, not normally, like when a race ends and like the bet doesn't go through, I'm like, bummer. And I was like, no bummer this weekend. Fucking Sergio Perez getting up there and doing the damn thing, especially after last weekend.
Well, and I think, I mean, first off, for him it means a lot, but I think it also means a lot to say, like, you're the most successful Mexican driver in the sport, and I do think that the more diversity we have, the better. And I think having, you know, a driver from North America, I mean, Mexico is North America, but, you know, having him come from this side of the world does elevate the presence of Formula One, you know, in the U.S. We know that there's tons of Checo fans that come to the Circuit of the Americas. We see the Checo fans in Mexico. I think it elevates driving, and it brings it to an area of the world. And I think it's an amazing accomplishment for him to say. I mean, I'm also going to say that he's the winner because we know that his contract's been extended. I'm sorry. Him and Max tried to run it back in the press conference, and that was a bunch of bullshit. That was a bunch of red bullshit.
Bullshit.
When he's like, I was talking about signing the champagne too quickly. I'm like, could you not have come up with a better lie? Did Helmut Marko not feed you some better lies?
Horrible recovery.
Did you hear Max Verstappen's laugh too? His laugh, you should watch it. His laugh is very much like, we're lying.
Like,
yeah. You know what else? Sorry, this is totally a different, going down a rabbit hole. We'll get back to our losers here in a minute. Did you watch when you, the best was in that same pause? So we have the Carlos Sainz looking sexy as fuck with his helmet hair. We have Checo Perez looking like he touched the static electricity bulb. And then we see Max Verstappen and Christian Horner just like lounging in the garage. Like, I'm like, oh, Christian, you don't have an interview to get to? You can take a rest?
wait, the commentators totally called him out, and they were like, it looks like Christian Horner has finally taken a seat. He's normally bopping around. I died when I heard that. I was like, of course he's normally bopping around looking for anyone with a microphone and camera.
And they also said something about his feet are all, like, I felt like they said, like, his feet are always moving, and I was like...
It was odd.
Him and Senator Palpatine are, like, the exact opposite. He never, like, the senator never gets up from his, like, death ship, and he's always sitting there looking very confused in the pit lane or in the garage pit wall or garage, and then you have Christian Horner who's like, how many press interviews can I do in a moment?
Always on the move.
Okay, now that we've like gone through our winner and then like roasted Christian.
Yeah, we can talk about my loser, which I'm upset about my loser, and I'm sorry for choosing him, but my loser is Lewis Hamilton. He sat behind that Alpine of Esteban Ocon, and
You mean
then was
Fernando
stuck behind
Alonso?
Alonso and finished the race in the same position he started in 8th. And I saw this, and it hurts me to say it, but he trails the championship leader by 75 points. And I just feel like we haven't talked. I know we've talked a lot about Mercedes, but maybe not a lot about how sad it has been for Lewis this year. So he's my loser of the weekend. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, he literally has admitted that this is like the worst third of a season he's ever done in his career. Hell, next year he'll win his 8th. It's fine. He's not going anywhere.
It's fine. It's fine.
His helmet was amazing, though. The white with the amethyst, I was like, ooh, hoo hoo
With the white logos, I was like, hoo, that is so cute.
There was big talk about that too. The best comment by the commentators too was, it's his favorite of the precious stones.
First of all, I want to be cool enough that someone in the press knows what my favorite stone is. Like, that is what I aspire.
My favorite precious stone.
My favorite precious stone. I would have to go really do some research. But I also loved that the commentators were like, this is the first time we've seen a mid-race helmet change. And I was like,
Is that a stat we really want to talk about?
they also made it like out to be such a big deal that he switched his helmet. I was like, it was probably wet. Like, they were racing in the rain. Like, it's not like he was like, oh, time to do a fashion fit check. I'm like, it was probably wet.
Fashion fit check mid-race.
I also did love that they designed that helmet to be something that, like, if you found it in a museum in the future, it would be art. And I was like, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I loved it. So Lewis Hamilton might have been the loser on track, but he was definitely the winner of the helmet game. I'm going to say it here. My loser is Haas. I feel like they've just been putting him as the loser a lot lately. But really, I'm saying that they're a loser because of their double retirement. It was just rather unfortunate for them. You know, we had Kevin Magnussen DNF due to a power unit issue. Even after he had like successfully been driving and defending against Pierre Gasly, who at the time was on Inters and was faster than him. So just unfortunate to see for K-Mag. And then Schumacher, his crash into the barriers at the swimming pool section, ouch, is all I'm going to say. He's okay. He was able to get out of the car. We saw him walking around in the pit lane with a doctor in green coveralls, which the announcers mentioned the green coveralls a lot. It was aggressive how many times they mentioned the doctor was in green overalls. But no, we're happy to see that Mick is okay. It's very clear that, like, you know, the technology that they have included in the cars to, like, that they actually separate, like, the gearbox and the front chassis separate happened because we literally saw, like, the back power unit and two wheels and rear wing getting rolled off separately, which I thought was very odd. It was like a weird
Oh my gosh.
But I guess that change in safety measures has been successful. So unfortunate for Haas. We do know that they're targeting some upgrades here in the future. I'm thinking it's probably, I'm not thinking, I'd be surprised if it was Baku. I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for them, but I would be pleasantly surprised to see it in Baku.
Are you taking our honorable mention this week, Megan?
Oh, I can. Sorry. I forgot honorable mention came next. Just had a moment.
No, you're okay.
I have to go with Lando Norris. I think this is the second race in a row I'm going with Lando Norris as our honorable mention.
Fuck, the dude was P6, had fastest lap, and he still isn't 100% after tonsillitis. He even mentioned on his Instagram, he was like, P6 and fastest lap, just wait until I'm back to 100%. So can't wait for those days. But still, he had a great weekend. He was happy to survive the tough conditions, was happy to, like, you know, finish the race, but not just finish the race, but finish it like successfully in P6. He only lost one position to George Russell in the pit stop. But overall, he said that in these conditions, I can't describe how difficult driving a Formula One car is in the wet is around this track. It is genuinely one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. But yes, good weekend, rewarding at the same time. And so I'm happy with P6. I think he would have been even more happy with P5, but you can't win them all, Norris. And when you're back to 100%, we'll look out for you to finally, maybe it'll be Norris that dethrones George Russell in his top 5 finishes. Not that I want to see that happen. Not that I want to see that happen. I'm just saying I feel like Lando might be able to, he might be the one that does it.
Our hidden gem this week happened in a different realm of motorsport. Megan, I hope you're okay with me jumping elsewhere. The Swedish F1 veteran Marcus Ericsson won the 2022 Indianapolis 500. He previously raced in F1 between 2014 and 2018 and now drives for the Chip Ganassi Racing in the IndyCar Series. So huge congratulations to him. That's an incredible win. And I saw this, I think it was a tweet that said, like, who would have thought that Sergio Perez and Marcus Ericsson were both taking wins this weekend when, 10 years ago they were sitting in the midfield in Formula One. So great weekend for both of them. Excited for both of them. And that's that on our hidden gem.
Okay, I know we're talking about Indy, but someone I just got a message with this article about Max Verstappen and the Indy 500. He said that I have no desire to chase the Triple Crown, at least not Indy. I appreciate what they do. It's insane, these drivers. He said I don't need to risk my life there. Max, I'd love to see you racing at the Indy 500. That makes me mad.
He doesn't seem like the type to go after it. I feel like he's like, I could care less.
Checo said the same thing. He's like, I have no interest, to be honest. In endurance, I don't know if I'll do that one day. I don't think so. I think when I'm done with F1, I need to look to go back and look after my kids. I already have 3, so yeah, I'll be quite busy.
Oh my God.
Checo, maybe stop pushing so hard for another child then. No, that was just weird timing that I got that text right as, and I just got it from ESPN as well. So somebody saw it come through on ESPN and sent it over to me to have a look at. But no, that's unfortunate. I did love that it was Marcus Ericsson. Oh, wait, I do have another hidden gem. I don't know if you saw it, Katie, but I don't know if you saw Valtteri's Instagram story yesterday, but the Finnish hockey team won the world title of hockey. And so Valtteri was celebrating Finland winning.
Cool. I love it.
It was cool to see Valtteri all hyped about it. He was like, Finland!
Did you see that someone photoshopped the naked ass into the puddles of the Monaco track? I didn't even share it with you because I internally died and I internally combusted and I couldn't hit the share button.
I already took one of the memes and I've blown it up and I'm going to print it and put it on my desk. It's him in the middle of I think it's the main straight. I think it's the main straight as the picture, and it's him in the middle of the grid. And I was like, "This is art. This is art." Valtteri, you should print that for charity as well. We should just start photoshopping Valtteri's bare bum in every body of water that's available to us.
We need to.
Okay. that is a wrap on the Monaco Grand Prix. It was a time. It was Monaco madness like always. Next up, we are taking a touch of a little break. We have one weekend off, which will be good for Norris to rest up. Hopefully he'll be fully over tonsillitis. Checo can go home and visit his kids, celebrate with some tequila, and then have enough time to recover from all of the tequila. But join us next week for our next team deep dive. I have a feeling it's time we look at that naked bum of Valtteri Bottas, butt ass, and Alfa Romeo next. So keep an eye out for that next week. Butt ass. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us at Dirty Driving Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
Until next time, stay dirty.